3 out of every 5 students struggle with writing, according to one study. For many students, essay writing is like scratching nails on a blackboard, but it doesn't have to be. So almost every secondary humanities or social science class in the United States requires some sort of essay. And it's often the biggest project of the class, and it's often also the biggest part of the grade. And despite this, many students have a lot of difficulty with that essay writing. So how can you make essay writing easier? Here are 5 tips. Tip 1. Plan. You need to have a plan. And the reason why is because without a plan, your organization is crazy and you don't have good flow. It's just very chaotic and unorganized if you don't have a plan. And you can think about any job that anybody does. In any job, you generally have to do some kind of preparation for your task to work. Even I had to do a plan. Because my thoughts otherwise would just be all over the place. It was too much stuff or too much work for me to, just terrible. And if you do a plan correctly, if you do a very thorough plan, a plan that really helps you, then it makes your writing so much easier. Plan makes drafts, writing drafts just so much easier than if you don't have a plan. So I like graphic organizers. And graphic organizers are tools that you can use to help plan your work. And there's lots of different ones out there. If you Google graphic organizers, you can find tons and tons. And there's lots of different ways to use them. But today I'm going to talk about one in particular, and I'm going to show you how it works. Graph Hamburger. And this is a very classic graphic organizer. I did it when I was in school, and I remember my English teacher saying that she learned it when she was in school. So it's been around quite a while. But in the Paragraph Hamburger, it's a way to plan your paragraph. So a paragraph is the 5 to 7 sentences that go together for each part of your writing. So let's say that I am writing about birthday parties because my daughter went to a birthday party and it was really fun. So my topic sentence, let's say this is a narrative. In other words, I'm telling a story. So my topic sentence can be, the birthday party was fun. Now it asks for support 1 for the topic sentence. So what supports that? What tells you that it's fun? You may also hear text evidence. What evidence do you have that it was fun? So I can say, there was yummy food. Support number 2, the kids enjoy dancing. There's music and dancing at this party. And support number 3 was my daughter got to help open presents. My daughter is 1, and that was a big deal for her that she got to help this 2-year-old who's having a birthday party open presents. She had a really good time doing that. That was really fun for her. Then there's a clincher or a concluding sentence. So this is your last sentence that kind of sums it up. What's going on. So I can say, we can't wait for next time. That just gives you some excitement, and it's just a way to conclude the paragraph. Make it very easy. Again, you're talking about how it's fun. So that's an example of the Paragraph Hamburger. I'm going to put in the description box a link to all these sources for graphic organizers. Open source Avid has a lot of different ones that are both interactive, or you can print some of them out. So a plan can help you so much with your essay writing. Another thing that can help you is to have some kind of organization of the essay itself. So that brings me to tip 2, which is to have a structure. And when you're beginning to write, you need a structure to follow. In other words, you need some kind of format. If you're just randomly writing, and you don't have really any structure, you don't have anything to model your writing about, it's going to be really unorganized writing, and it may not make sense. It may not be for the purpose that it should be. For example, if you're writing academically, there's a certain style and a certain format that's expected. So you need to pay attention to structure. And in the United States, one of the most common structures is called the 5-paragraph essay. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that. So this is a web page that's about 5-paragraph essays, and it gives examples. And so this really shows what a 5-paragraph essay is. There's even a video if you want to watch it later. But in a 5-paragraph essay, you need to know what to include in each paragraph. So you have an introductory paragraph first. It means where it introduces whatever you're talking about. Then there are body paragraphs. So these are your 3 meats. So if we go back to my example about the birthday party, you talk about the birthday party, where it was, what happened, and then it could say it was just really a great party. And then each of those paragraphs would talk about why it's a great party. There could be a paragraph about food, about having fun, dancing, one paragraph about the neat people we met, that sort of thing. So that's your body paragraphs. And then you have your concluding paragraph, which is the very end. And particularly if you're writing a persuasive essay, means if you're trying to do something, that's when you say, this is what you should do. So here's an example. It's talking about capybaras, and they are animals in Eastern South America. So here it gives some information about them. They make great pets. They're known as the friendliest animal. There's a lot of misinformation. But then at the very end of the introduction, it gives what's called a thesis statement. That means what the whole essay is about. So it says, it's time to reevaluate those laws that talk about legal restrictions. So here it talks about, so why? What are your reasons? So that's the 3 body paragraphs. It says capybaras are rodents, the largest in the world, plus they're related to guinea pigs. So that's in your first one. They're social animals, so they're good pets. That's your first reason, your first body paragraph. Then it talks about the myths with them. And then it talks about how it's still doable to keep them as pets, even though they are high maintenance. So those are your 3 reasons. And then the conclusion just kind of sums it up, gives the reasons again. It says the advantages of capybaras as pets outweigh the cons, and you'll see firsthand why they love these friend-shaped animals. Again, the last sentence kind of is exciting and leaves you thinking about that. So that's just an example. And I'm going to put this also in the description box. 4 is to use artificial intelligence or AI tools wisely. So AI tools are becoming really popular. Those are artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT, Gemini. It's causing a lot of trouble for school because people are over-relying on that. What that means is they may use AI to write something for them, or they may get all that information from AI. And that's a bad idea for a few reasons. First of all, AI tends to be summary information. It's just very short. It doesn't usually go in depth. It's designed to just give information quickly and to lead you to other things, to other information, or to lead you to topics and things like that. So it can lack a lot of depth and rigor. It's also not usually written at an academic voice. Of course, there are apps now that can do that, but again, it's not perfect with that. And worse, if you just copy and paste things, you can get in major trouble. That's a huge ethics violation at any school. And you can even get kicked out of school. You can be expelled for doing something like that. So here are some appropriate uses of AI, because AI can be helpful, particularly for research, the research part of your finding topics. If you're stuck and you don't even know where to begin, AI is a good place to start. Finding initial information. For example, like the names of historical figures, you could ask AI, who were the top generals in the Revolutionary War? That would be a very good use. And then you can use that information to in-depth research that's appropriate with that. And also finding templates and graphics. But you have to be really careful with this because, for example, you can say, make me a table. That's fine. But if they make the table and they put all the words in that, then that's considered cheating as well, and you can get in trouble for that. Also with graphics, you need to make sure they're copyright free or that you use correct citations for that. You have to be really careful with those things, but AI can be a helpful tool. So let's go to tip 5, which talks more about this idea of cheating, and that is to avoid plagiarism. So plagiarism means that you take somebody's work, something that someone has worked hard to create, and you say it's your own. And so there are lots of issues with this, and you can just ask Joe Biden, the former president. He was going to run for president in 1988, and they found that he had he plagiarized speeches and also worked for law school. That was in 1988, and they found out. And today they can find out even more quickly with some of the tools that teachers have to check work. So it's very, very important that you do not plagiarize. And there's a really good app called the Hemingway app. I'm going to put it in the description, but it will see how unique your work is. So in other words, if you're changing the words, if you're changing the structure to make it original, but you're just not sure that you've done enough, it will tell you that. And then you can go back and edit so that you're not plagiarizing, so that the work is your own. And that may involve changing paragraphs, it may involve shifting sentences around. It can be pretty extensive work, but you don't want to be caught plagiarizing. That can get you in serious trouble. Also, I want to say something about citations. So a lot of people now are writing citations. That means they're sources. They're writing them using citation generators, and you need to be really, really careful with that because citation generators are not perfect. For example, I used to use these sometimes to cite my research, and it would be the name of a book, and it would just have the author and the title. It would leave the rest of it off because it's just not perfect. So you need to really proofread those citations. You also need to have some basic understanding of your style. So that could be MLA or AP or Chicago style for history is used. You need to have some kind of an idea so that you can look at those and say, okay, this is correct or this doesn't look right. And you can change them because citations can also get you in trouble. So there's your 5 tips. So by adding structure and by making work correct and original, you can drastically improve your writing, and you can take it from nails on a chalkboard to relative ease, to a breezy day, let's say. It can feel like a breezy day doing your work. So there you have it, the top 5 tips for essay writing. So I want to know, what do you find hard about writing? Tell me in the comments, and you might see a video or a short about it in the near future. If there's something that you're struggling with, maybe I can help you with that. And please remember to like and subscribe for more information about English and literacy. And until next time, keep learning.